Hello, everyone, and welcome to Business Point on Global Television, and welcome to another business week where we'll hope to see that Nigerian Naira gets to gain more against the US dollar, and crude now will officially start hitting Dangote refineries and other refineries within Nigeria from this week, as stated by the NNPC. And as well, in the other angle, the Minister of the Minister of Power says that in the couple of months we are expected to see a decline in the current price of electricity, and as well as we'll also have a few conversations around tax, the fact that 49% of tax is being paid, and then who are those paying this tax? Tax paid by traders and mechanics raised by 49% in 2024. Despite the economic challenge, we're going to be having conversations around tax and why we're having new tax policies almost on a monthly basis, and then the minister has something to say in those regards. But before we get into all of those conversations, let me bring you up to speed with tax being paid by Nigerians. Tax paid by Nigerians involved in the wholesale and retail trade, as well as repair of motor vehicles and motorcycles, surged by 49% in the first 6 months of 2024 compared to the same period last year. This is according to the data from the tax report of National Bureau of Statistics. Based on the data released by the NBS, this leap in tax revenue is a result of the hike in both value-added tax and company income tax, which is purged at 30%, is leveraged on the profit of corporations, while the VAT is set at 7.5%, and it's basically consumption tax imposed on the point of sale on goods and services, ultimately shouldered by the end consumer. So despite all of this tax that has been paid that's VAT at this point, that has been paid by individuals when they purchase goods and services, the traders, wholesalers, even down to mechanics are paying their tax. So now, if you're being charged for value-added tax, it doesn't mean that you're being extorted. Actually, this money gets to go back to the economy, and then it helps, curb inflation. We are going to have that conversation about curbing inflation because the Minister of Finance has a few things to say about the fact that we always witness the monetary policy being tightened and then being increased, because currently now our monetary policy is at 27.25%. Sorry. So the minister has, Mr. Kudoso has a whole lot to say in this regard. So we are going to get into that conversation. So at the end of this conversation, we would make you understand that the main reason why all of this monetary policy keeps getting tightened almost on a monthly basis is to help curb out inflation. We're going to x-ray how possible that's going to be, because looking at it from a different angle now, we're going to see that a whole lot of borrowers will be weakened and they wouldn't have the power to be able to borrow and then run businesses. So if that is happening, how is it going to curb out inflation? The minister also said that doing all of this is going to help, tighten the monetary policy and then not have money laundering around the country. So we don't really know how that is going to happen, but from what a whole lot of analysts, public affairs analysts have actually said, they've stated that more production is what is going to curb out inflation. But let's see what the minister has to say and the governor of the central bank has to say in this regard. The governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Olayemi Kadoso, has defended the bank's decision to raise the monetary policy rate to 27.5%, describing it as a necessary move to control inflation and curb excess money in circulation. So speaking during during an address at the Harvard Club of Nigeria over the weekend, Kadoso emphasized that the rate hike, while will be tough on borrowers, but it's crucial for the country's economic stability. Kadoso says that the decision to raise the monetary policy rate to 27.25% was a bold move. higher interest rates, while painful for borrowers, are necessary to curb out excess money in circulation and control inflation. The leadership of the President of Bola Ahmed Tinubu is about making hard choices to secure long-term stability over short-term comfort in moments like this. He noted that the CBN's focus on core objectives such as containing inflation, restoring credibility, and building public trust in the financial system. It is critical to any meaningful recovery. Koduso remarks came as he reflects on his tenure as the head of the CBN, making 1 year in office. He pointed out that the trust is at its core of central banking, and without it, the effectiveness of the bank's policy would diminish. The CBN governor also said that the introduction of the electronic foreign exchange matching system is a key initiative to enhance transparency and also restore market confidence. So this is the main reason now to curb out a whole lot of money from circulating. But questions are being asked. If monies are not being circulated, if SMEs can't borrow, get loans, despite or because of one major reason, which is the rate that they are going to be paying the loan back at. If they do the maths, they're looking at it looks as if anybody borrowing, that's an SME borrowing, would find it very, very difficult to be able to pay back these loans, and then it's actually going to fall more on the citizens, because if one can afford, and looking at the other angle of the rumors that is out there saying that the current VAT is going to be increased from 7.5% to about 10%, which the central bank and then the Minister of Finance have come out to say no, that nothing like that is going to happen. So, but if that does happen, how will all these SMEs now, try to keep head above water despite our current inflation rates, which is almost at 40%, food inflation still going up? So if you have all of these challenges on the ground, how can SMEs now keep head above water? Because from the look of things now, if this does happen, though it's happening already, that means a whole lot of SMEs won't be able to borrow, and then we would tend to see a little bit of stagnancy in terms of having goods and services being purchased at the level it usually gets purchased on, and a whole lot is actually going to happen. But we're hoping in the long run, as the Central Bank of Nigerian governor says, that it's going to help curb out inflation. So let's see what happens as the month unfolds, and then we hope for, obviously, a very good result. Still talking money, we're going to be looking at POS transactions hit around 6.23 trillion in 7 months. Point of sale transaction in Nigeria totaled at 6.23 trillion between January and July 2024, according to data from the Nigerian Interbank Settlement System. This marks a 7.4% decline compared to 6.7 trillion naira recorded in the same period as at 2023, reflecting change in the consumer behavior and spending patterns. A breakdown of the NIBSS data shows that POS transactions increased by 5.3% in January to 850.9 billion naira, up from 807.16 billion naira in the corresponding month of 2023. However, February witnessed a decline to 805.05 billion naira, down from 8.9% from 883.45 billion in February 2023. The downward trend continued in April, with POS transactions dropping by 22.3% to 811.78 billion compared to 1.04 trillion naira in April 2023. However, May reserved the trend, with transactions increasing by 16.1% year-on-year to 868.66 billion. The decline resumed in June, with POS transactions dipping by 1.3% to 930.76 billion, down from 943.38 billion in the month of June 2023. Now, a whole lot of persons are wondering why this decline has happened, looking at the statistics from last year and this current year. From about September last year, the CAC has been hammering so much on the fact that a whole lot of POS providers now need to register their businesses. And when all of this happened, so as to have a database of, those running these businesses, because a whole lot of persons have complained about being defrauded by a whole lot of people in terms of using POS. So now, is it one of the reasons, that's the registration now, is it one of the reasons why we are facing this decline? That's something that the CAC need to answer, because now, looking at this decline now, a whole lot of persons is obviously showing that they are no longer using the POS to be able to do transactions. So now we would know if some persons are actually facing the law for not having their businesses registered, and then reduces the number of the persons handling this POS transaction businesses. So these are other angles now that we are going to look at, and then we hope to extract all of that from the short time that we have on today's edition of the program. But moving away from money, let's talk about tariff hike and disco revenue, as disco revenue jumps to 887 billion. The Nigerian electricity distribution companies have gathered in a total sum of 887.86 billion as revenue in the first 7 months of 2024, following the tariff increase for Band A customers and improved revenue collection, despite consistent complaints over poor power supply by consumers and high tariff. The 11 discos increased their income by 46.96% from 604.15 billion recorded in the same period of 2023, spanning to January to July 2023. This information emerged as stakeholders in the sector decreased their borrowing from commercial banks by 28.82 billion, according to analysts of a data released by the Nigerian Electricity Regulation Commission, which contains disco commercial performance for the 7 months. The distribution companies has billed a total of 1.114 trillion over the period under the review, but were able to collect 887.86 billion, achieving a 9.7% revenue collection efficiency in the country. During this previous period of 2023, the companies issued bills totaling around 797.18 billion, while they managed to collect 604.15 billion. After about 2 years of tariff freeze in the power sector, the federal government had in April increased the rate paid per kilowatt hour of electricity from about 68 naira to 225 naira for Band A customers, who it says continually enjoyed 20 hours of power supply daily. However, after an intense public uproar, announced an 8.1% reduction to 206.8 kobo, 206 naira 0.8 kobo per kilowatts in the electricity tariff rate for Band A customers. The hike in electricity tariff have put many Nigerians under heavy energy bills. But on the lighter note, the Minister of Power, Adebayo, assured Nigerians of a possible reduction in the price of electricity in the coming months, following a current effort to step up the generation and distribution of power. However, Nigerians still remain skeptical about the potential of reduction, as many communities continue to appeal to be removed from the highest paying tariff, which negatively impacts the cost of living and hampers the economic growth. So we should look at this aspect. Now, a whole lot of persons are complaining that despite being on Band A, they still find it difficult to get that same 20-hour power supply. And then on that note, we witnessed a little bit of a decline. That's meaning a little percentage was taken away from the actual 225 naira per kilowatt to now 206 naira 18 kobo per kilowatt. Okay, despite that, businesses are complaining aside that, the minister has come to say in the coming months we are going to expect a decline. That is, those in band A and every other band will be paying lesser than what they are currently paying. But Nigerians are giving up because lots of stories come and businesses are suffering. It's also dampering with the economic growth. So if this does happen in the coming months, as said by the minister, we are hoping to see a recent growth in the economy, and as well as also hoping that Nigerians will be able to smile and then enjoy the benefit of what they're paying. That's if we get the generation that the more power generation that the minister spoke about. But let's have a breakdown a little bit of what the monthly revenue showed. Breakdown of the monthly revenue showed that 95 billion was generated in January out of the 130.92 billion billed for the month. So if they get, obviously from the maths now, 95 billion times about 7 is obviously going to give us around this 800 plus billion naira that the disco companies, the 11 disco companies generated from January to July. We will be having conversations around the oil sector where we are hoping that from this week, crude is going to hit Dangote refineries and every other refineries that are hoping to get crude for Naira in Nigeria. We'll have those conversations after this quick break. Please do stay with us. Yes, let's have conversation around oil, and many thanks for staying with us. Naira for crude, 3 refineries plan, PMS production, Dangote still awaits NNPC supply. This is something, but I'll just bring you up to speed with NNPC have to say and what other refineries. So we also have 2 refineries we are also expecting to get this crude for Naira. That's one in Delta, one in Port Harcourt, and I think one in Bayelsa, as well as the biggest refinery in Africa that is talking about the Dangote refinery. So all of these guys are still awaiting, crude to hit their stations so they can get into work and then produce. So let me bring you up to speed. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited may begin supply of crude oil in Naira to Dangote Petroleum Refinery this week, following the announcement by the federal government of Nigeria that the crude for Naira deal has commenced. Also following the promise by the federal government, 3 more refineries are getting set to start the production of premium motor spirits, otherwise known as petrol. The 3 refineries include the 11,000 barrels per day capacity Adrel refinery in Rivers State and the 20,000 capacity Carl Gold refinery in Delta State and 12,000 capacity Ezekiel in capacity refinery, Ezekiel, the name of the company is Ezekiel in Bayelsa. This comes as an official at the Dangote refinery in Lagos, and operators of other domestic refineries confirmed that though the deal for crude supply in Naira has commenced, the commodity is still expected to hit the biggest refinery in Africa. So we are hoping that this week Dangote refinery will begin to get supply of crude. That's for Naira. And then if that happens, on a lighter note, we're expected to see the price of fuel come down. We are really, really hoping that happens. So the federal government has this to say. The federal government says it has commenced the sale of crude oil and other refined products in Naira. The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy announced that in the line with the Federal Executive Council's directive, the sale of crude oil refined products in Naira has officially commenced as of October 1st, 2024, following a meeting of the Implementation Committee chaired by the Minister of Finance and on October 3rd, 2024, to conduct a post-commencement review of the crude oil and refined product sale in Naira initiative. The commencement of the strategic initiative was affirmed by key stakeholders. Officials of at the Dangote refinery commended the move by the government and expressed hope that the commodity would arrive the plant this week, barring any unforeseen circumstances. So we are hoping not to hear stories. But on the other hand, in another development, it was gathered that the NNPC lifted a total of 102.9 million liters of petrol from Dangote refinery between September 15th and 30th of September 2024. This effort aims to curb the frustration of consumers and ensure that adequate fuel is rapidly available, thereby enhancing the overall efficiency of transportation and every other economic activities. Recall that the government had stated that the Dangote refinery will supply a total of 25 million liters of petrol to the Nigerian markets daily, starting from September. So, on this note now, looking at it between the month of, between the 15th and the 30th of September 2024, the NNPC have lifted a sum of 102.9 million liters of petrol. That is within the space of 15 days. So if we do the maths, we would see Dangote is trying to, keep his own end of the bargain, given the fact that the federal government says the Dangote refinery needs to supply 25 million liters of petrol to the Nigerian market on a daily basis, starting from September the 15th. So we are hoping that all of this, continues in this light, and we hope Nigerians hope to have availability of this product and at a cheaper rate, despite what is happening. Now, let's move away from crude and then talk a little about dollar and Nigerian naira. So, with the fact that we're expecting to see crude hit the market in naira and not dollar this time, we are hoping to see that the naira will also rebound more against the dollar, despite the fact that the naira has suffered a massive decline from September the 30th, where the prices were literally surged so high. That is, dollar was sold at 1,669 naira to a dollar. That was at Monday, September the 30th. And then, on Tuesday, 1st of October, it was still remaining at the same level at 1,666 and 67 naira. And then moving on Wednesday, we witnessed a little bit of a dip again, where the naira got sold at 1,669 naira. Moving on, then on Thursday, we begin to see the light of day, where Nigerian naira rebound as it was sold at 1,657 naira. And then moving on to Friday, and then we also witnessed that naira gained more, and then it sold at 1,637 naira. Moving on Saturday, it continued with that same bullish run, where the Nigerian naira was just getting up and getting more momentum, and then it also sold at Saturday for 1,637 naira. And then moving on to Sunday, it got sold at 1,631 naira. But as at this morning, naira is being sold for 1,620 naira. So we're starting the week on a bullish run. So if we continue like this to the next couple of days with this bullish run and the crude hitting the market in naira, we're expected to see that our Nigerian naira will also continue to rebound, despite whatever it is that's going to be happening in the market. But we just hope to see a very good increment, and then hope that we don't suffer this so much, the naira doesn't suffer this so much decline, because it falls down on our foreign reserves, and as well as the prices of commodities in the markets always surge high. But the government is actually working on the terms for every transaction locally to be done in naira, so as to give naira a strong bargaining power in the FX markets. Moving away from notes, now let's talk about digital currency, where in the early hours of this morning, Asian hours of today's business day, the Bitcoin hit around 64,000 US dollars. And on this note now, ahead of the busy US data week, this that sees the Federal Reserve release FOMC minutes and key economic figures from August that track the economic growth, BTC rose by 3%, putting in motion to markets wide jump that saw a major showed a major breakthrough. That means it saw a major breakthrough of 3%. That's a bullish run. And for those that have been, keeping tabs with the market, I've seen that Bitcoin has been on the rise, and it has been projected come December 2024 that Bitcoin is going to raise to 100,000 US dollars. So if you have what it takes to, run with the bull, then you run with the bull. But if you don't have what it takes, you just take a bow and then just stay on the ground with the bear. So that's how much time will permit us to bring to you on today's edition of Business Point. My name is Samuel Odi. I'll see you again tomorrow as we have more interesting conversations around business around the world. Bye for now.